Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, and welcome to Honest Football Talk, where I, Thomas Llewellyn, am here to give you guys my honest take on everything going on in the NFL world today. And I thought, what better way to start off the show than to give you guys some of my personal history, give you guys my background, and sort of share with you guys sort of what got me passionate about football in the first place. And I thought a good way to start that would be to tell you guys how I started playing football back in middle school. Back when I'd say transitioning from elementary school to middle school, there was a period when we were able to choose our sport that we kind of wanted to play, get into. It wasn't really available to me from the area that I lived in before in this time period because it just there wasn't enough kids around. I was in a very rural area, so there wasn't like a pee-wee league in my area, but it started to become available around middle school when we were able to play like other schools in other areas. And I decided, why not? I'll give it a shot. A lot of my friends were really into it at the time, so I decided I'd go ahead and get into football myself. And as you can tell from the clothes that I'm wearing, you can see that I'm a very avid Eagles fan. I really dove into this team, I'd say, around the same time as when I was getting into football as well, from elementary to middle school. Really decided to dive deep into the NFL around the exact same time. Thought it would be a good idea to study, of course, the pros, to learn their techniques so I could be good in play as well. I played offensive and defensive lineman in middle school, throughout a little bit into high school, and really drew my passion from there on out, from middle school and onward. I just started to become a very, very big fan of the NFL and everything that it presented to me. And as I graduated high school and things of that nature, I still follow the sport, of course, to this day. And I thought, what better way to continue to share my, passion for the sport than to share it with the community with you guys. So I thought I'd start this YouTube channel, and I appreciate you guys joining in on this journey. Hope you stick with me, and I appreciate you being here. Thank you. So, going on with that, like I said, what you probably wonder what made me a Philadelphia fan. I live in a rural area. I'm not from Philly originally, but I did become a very big Eagles fan, mostly because as a kid I was very drawn to their color. My parents are from the Pittsburgh area. They're big Steeler fans, and I wanted to be a little chaotic and go against the grain, not just root for what my family rooted for, but be a little nuisance and aggravate my mother and father and root for a different team entirely. Still in the Pennsylvania area, decided to go with Philadelphia Eagles. Really liked their colors, though. Really had nothing to do with them being in PA. Saw that their color scheme had the midnight green. Really drew to me as a kid, and I really loved it from there on out. So as you can see, I still love them to this day. Since I was a kid, getting into the sport, and really loved watching some of my favorite players. Donovan McNabb. As a kid, he was just recently with the team and showing off some of his great mobility as well as accuracy and things. That Donovan was one of the best quarterbacks to ever watch. It was great. Along with watching some of Deshaun Jackson, along with Jeremy Maclin, some of the greats with them. One of the games that I hadn't got to attend a lot of games in person, but one I wanted to share with you guys, a great memory of mine, was when the Eagles faced was then called the Washington Redskins, or now the Commanders. Apologize for that, but I went to this game in particularly because I really wanted to see Donovan McNabb live. I'd been following these teams all my life, but I'd not gotten to actually see the teams live. So I decided, what the heck, I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna go all in. Go with my dad. It was a Monday night football game. I remember it was great. We had such a great time. Vic ended up having a game of a lifetime. Ended up being a core memory of mine with his 6 touchdowns. I believe I pulled it up here as well. He had 413 total yards that game, 80 rushing yards, 333 passing yards. And he started out the game with an 88-yard bomb to Deshaun Jackson. And I remember this memory very, very vividly because I had these 2 hecklers that were sitting by us. So this was in Washington Stadium, so I was in enemy territory. But at the same time, it was great because it was around where my dad worked at the time. It was very easy for us to get access to the stadium and stuff and get in there. And it made for a really, really great memory with me and my dad because these guys were heckling us, telling us they were going to give me a bad memory. I wasn't going to enjoy my time there, and here it ended up being 88-yard bomb to start the game for Michael Vick to Deshaun Jackson. I didn't hear a peep from him after that. And, ended up being really, really fun. Had a great game, won 59-28, and didn't hear anything else. It was all cheering from me and my dad from there on out. But yeah, going in from there, I figure let's go ahead and pivot a little bit. I appreciate you guys being here. We'll go on from my personal topics to a more recent topics. Let's see what's going on in the NFL world. I thought, what better way to start this show than to get into Trevor Lawrence's brand new contract. Now, if you guys have been following, Trevor Lawrence had just signed a brand new extension with the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's a 5-year, $275 million extension with $200 in total million guaranteed, and $142 that is fully guaranteed. It's interesting how the contracts are structured these days. I'm not too sure why the 200 and 142 million needs to be separated, but in total, given those numbers, personally, I think that's a little high for a quarterback that has not proven much for us. If you look at Trevor Lawrence's history with the Jacksonville Jaguars, what has he really proven? You're looking at his playoff season loss when he lost to the Chargers after being up 28-0. It doesn't strike a lot of confidence in giving Trevor Lawrence such a large contract. But a 5-year, $275 million, maybe I would have went 3 years for him. I need to see more prove it from Trevor Lawrence before I'm ready to dedicate that much money to him into the future. Excuse me. And now a lot of critics are saying that maybe this is a good idea because within the next 5 years you're going to see 65 million for these quarterbacks, and I don't know. I beg to differ. I don't know if quarterback play continues to not lead to a lot of success in the postseason. I see a lot of teams continuing to retry again in the draft and reset and not have to pay so much money to these quarterbacks. So it's sort of the same dilemma that we're starting to see right now with wide receivers, where they're wanting to get a lot of big money, but a lot of teams are not willing to dedicate so much money to that when they can just reset in the draft. I mean, it's not as easy in the NFL because a very good quarterback is usually worth the big money that you're going to pay, right? But in terms of Trevor Lawrence, I don't think he's worth that, personally. But, he's still got some years to prove it. He's still very young. He's had some injuries along the way, so I'm not going to say it's not 100%, but especially when you're looking at that division that he's playing in, you're playing against, you got Houston Texans, which now they're getting a lot better with C.J. Stroud, but before C.J. Stroud, Lawrence was there. You got Indianapolis Colts, who have not been great at all, and you got the Tennessee Titans. I mean, this should be a division that the Jaguars should be able to easily take over with their great defensive play. They got some great weapons around Trevor Lawrence. I feel like he should be able to actually take this game or take this team to the next level and show us some more in the postseason before he's demanding these type of numbers. That's me personally. Going from there, what does this really mean for other quarterbacks as well? I think this is going to be very interesting for Dak Prescott in particular this offseason. If we've been paying attention, Dak Prescott, he's been kind of, all over the place with how he's been talking about his contract going forward. Does he really want to get paid a lot of money? Does he want to set the market? A lot of these quarterbacks want to continue to make fair prices for the rest of the market and affect the whole market, not just think selfishly for themselves. So a lot of them do tend to drive prices up based on their play and based on their statistics to continue to, drive that quarterback market. I'm personally interested in seeing how Jerry Jones and Dak Prescott continue to do this back and forth jousting, I would say, between the two. I'm really, really curious to see if this is going to work out for Dak this season. They've lost more pieces than they've gained. They haven't done a lot this offseason, if you've been looking. Defense is going to be a little bit more healthy with Diggs back. Hopefully, we'll see. We'll see if he's really worth all that. As an Eagles fan, I'm not very nor here nor there on him succeeding, but I as an individual player, I do want to see Dak succeed and prove the Jerry Jones and them wrong for the way that they've been handling these players. They should be showing a lot more respect to these players that are willing to go out here and put their bodies and their lives on the line for these owners. You know what I mean? Like these sorts of deals should be set in stone a lot earlier than now, but that's my thinking. Going on from Dak, we also have Jordan Love. I think Jordan Love is also very much affected by this deal. If he continues to play this way this year, if he plays on the deal that he's on and does not sign an extension, there's a lot of rumors going on right now that an extension is in the works. But if he does play on this deal right now, I see Jordan Love going skyrocketing next year, maybe being one of the first ones to sign a $60 million a year deal. Like, if Trevor Lawrence can do it, you saw what Jordan Love did in the playoffs. Like, he's already demanding, and especially with all the younger pieces around him, and same with C.J. Stroud. I mean, these are guys that I see that are looking at this new Trevor Lawrence deal. It's similar to what Christian Kirk did to the wide receiver market, in my opinion. Like, a lot of people didn't think Christian Kirk deserved it, and they thought, if Christian Kirk's getting that money, I better be getting, this, you know what I mean? That's exactly what's going on here, I think, in the quarterback market. So we'll see. That's with in days to come. Now, here's my favorite story that's been crossing the internet. It's very much piqued my interest being an Eagles fan, because this story involves the New York Jets and Haason Reddick. Haason Reddick has not attended any of these off-season's voluntary or mandatory OTAs. The Philadelphia Eagles originally traded for Haason Reddick for a 2026 third-round overall pick third-round pick that could become a second-round pick, according to Adam Schefter, if Haason Reddick plays 67.5% of the time and as well as having 10 or more sacks. Now, that's a lot for a player to have in order for them to be considered successful. I think that's a lot. I think with time to come, Reddick's going to end up being there. This isn't going to be a big deal come actual preseason. I think maybe it'll be a big story here going into the preseason, but I think once season comes around, he's going to play. He's not going to miss out on all that money. I understand that he wants a new contract. That's the whole reason he's not with the Philadelphia Eagles right now. Philadelphia was not willing to pay him that money. I'm kind of weird about it, because I don't understand why we decided to pay Josh Huff but not pay Haason Reddick. Haason Reddick, I think, deserved to get paid with the Philadelphia Eagles. What he's proven with us helped get us to the Super Bowl when we did. But that's neither here nor there. Howie knows what he's doing, and Howie we trust, for sure. I definitely trust in Howie Roseman and how he's running that business. So totally understand how the Reddick situation has been handled. I think Howie Roseman saw this was a potential issue that was going to happen in Philadelphia, so he went ahead and sent him to the Jets. Kind of interesting. Some more reports are coming out. I'm not going to really cover it nor here nor there, because I don't know the legitimacy of it, excuse me. But I do think that with Reddick's absence here in the OTAs, it could end up having a detrimental effect on him on the field. So we'll see going forward, but I'll say I'm not too optimistic on seeing how that Jets defense could be this year. I think it's gonna take a little dive back. A lot of people are going to be surprised at how the Jets defense is not as effective as what it was. And there's also the story with Rodgers missing some OTAs. I think this story is kind of interesting as well. There's not a lot of... It's interesting that the Jets would determine this to be an unexcused absence for Rodgers and decide to make this sort of a media story. If they're willing to make this an unexcused reason, like, why not just disclose what that reason is if you're going to make a big deal out of it? Why does this one have to be unexcused compared to excused ones? Like, what is the nature of it that makes it unexcused? I feel like that should be communicated in some way instead of having all this, weird, what's this up in the air? But I understand it must be a very weird situation for how this has been handled. And maybe it's just been all just a big miscommunication. Once we actually hear from Aaron Rodgers, I'll be interested to hear his side of things and why it was communicated in the way that it was communicated. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see from here on going out how the whole Jets situation is going. I'll be very interested to see them covered going into the season. And next, let's go ahead and cover Brandon Aiyuk. I think this Brandon Aiyuk story is kind of interesting. There's been a video floating around on the internet, if you've seen it, of a TikTok of Brandon Aiyuk calling his best friend Jane Daniels, the quarterback of the Washington Commanders at the moment, not with their current quarterback Brock Purdy, where he has been told that they don't want him no more, is what he was saying to Jane Daniels, basically insinuating that the 49ers are through with working with Brandon Aiyuk from here on forward. So brings into question what's best for Brandon going forward. Is it good to play out with this team that doesn't want you? Are you gonna play on this contract, or are you gonna sit out and demand a trade? We'll see how Brandon plays this out, but will he be traded? I don't think so. I think Brandon's going to end up staying with the 49ers. That team's on the brink of being able to, they were just at the Super Bowl last year, so they're on the brink of being able to win it all. I think that's going to at least be a contributing factor for Brandon to come back this year. We'll see how it goes from there on out, but I think Brandon will be back on that team, and he will not be traded. Going from there, one of the last stories I wanted to cover was Calais Campbell signing with the Miami Dolphins. I haven't seen too many details about this. Pretty sure it's just a one-year deal with them. Campbell is a little bit older towards the end of his career, but still playing at a very high caliber. Talks about he has an opportunity to win the Super Bowl with the Dolphins. I thought those are very interesting comments. I agree with Calais Campbell in the regards that if that defense and offense can be consistent with each other, there is a high, I think, opportunity for them. There were a lot of games where the Dolphins' offense would go off, but the defense would not respond in the same way. And then there would be opposite times where the defense would be turning the ball over constantly, and the offense couldn't get anything going. I feel like the offense needs to be more than one-dimensional around Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is a very dynamic player, definitely worth having a lot of the offense built around him, but at the same time, they need to create some more opportunities around him. I want to see a lot more Jalen Waddle involved. I want to see their tight end more involved. They got a lot of weapons in there that can actually open the field for them. They got great running backs, Devon Achane, Mostert. They've got the pieces around them to build a team to go, I think, deeper in the playoffs this year. We'll see going forward, but I am excited to see what this Miami Dolphins whole entire team can do. I was a little surprised in some of the pieces that they released this offseason, but I think some of the other pieces they picked up around them, don't sleep on the Dolphins. They're an up-and-coming team, I think, in that division. They can definitely rival the Bills for taking the division, I think, this year. Heck, I might even be willing to put some money on it. So with that's all my thoughts. Going from there, I greatly appreciate everyone for tuning in for this episode. Hope you guys have enjoyed listening to me talking here for a good 20 minutes straight. I realize now that can be very taxing. Going from here on out, we'll see how things turn out. I plan on trying to make this a weekly thing, so we'll be back to share more news about the OTAs and things progressing going forward for next week. So let me know your thoughts, what you think of some of these stories. Very excited to see how OTAs pan out, and, excited to see how the Eagles turn out, see how their OTAs turn out, and great, very, very excited to get the season going. So again, thank you guys for tuning in for the first episode. Thank you guys for listening to me ramble, and I'll see you guys next week on Honest Football Talk. Peace out, guys. Take care.